What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a beautiful day so far. So today I'm so excited because I am going to be talking about love and relationships and my experiences, and particularly about conscious relationships, conscious dating, how to not get stuck in toxic relationships, and what you can do, I can do to basically uncover our own patterns and conditioning and wounds and fears and all that, so that we can step into nice, healthy, beautiful relationships or dating situations, whatever you're into. Throughout this video, I'm going to talk about my own experiences, examples from my own dating life and relationships, and then I'm going to share a few practices and tools. But before we get into all of that, today's video is actually sponsored by Nordgreen, which is an amazing Scandinavian minimalistic design watch brand based in Copenhagen. So this is the watch that I have from them, which I'll show you in a bit. The watches are designed by Jakob Wigner, who's like a legend in Scandinavian design. He's the former lead designer of B&O and Hey, which is amazing. So yeah, this is the watch that I got. It's from their native collection, and I got the navy vegan leather strap, and then I also got this brown leather strap just so I can kind of have two watches in one. I created my own little bundle, which you can do on their website. You can also choose just like one watch, or they also have a few different bundles already picked out for you. The reason why I was drawn to this brand and why I wanted to work with them is, first of all, obviously I love the design. I love that they have vegan straps, but also they have an amazing giving back program where they donate to 3 different NGOs: Water for Good, Cool Earth, and Pratham. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You can read more about all these organizations on their website, and you can pick which one you want them to donate to when you receive your watch. You can read all about that on their website. And we also created my like personal Nika's favorites list, so I'll have a link to that down below. And you can also get 20% off with the code Nika, and I'll have all of that in the description box, so if you're in need of a new watch, you can check that out. Okay, so I want to give you kind of like a backstory of how I got into uncovering my own patterns and conscious relationships and all this stuff. So basically I dated a lot in like 2019, 2018 as well. Like I was constantly dating someone, or I was at least talking to someone. I just always had something going on, and I never took the time to reflect on how I am when I'm dating or in relationships, my own patterns, what type of a person I usually attract, my own fears, all this stuff. Like I just never took the time to really look at that and deal with it, because love is like exciting and it's fun, and like you meet someone new and you just want to like go all in, and you don't really want to like think about it. At least that's how I was. And then at the end of last year, so at the end of 2019, I was just like, I've had enough of this crap. Like this is not fun anymore. I'm constantly in the same exact situation but with a different person. Like I noticed the pattern. And yeah, so at the end of 2019 I was like, I've had enough. I'm gonna be cold turkey single. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to hear from my exes. I don't like nothing. Literally, what is my love life? It does not exist. In the past, when I would reflect, when I would go through like a breakup or something, I would usually take the time to reflect. But it wasn't like, obviously I would look at my own stuff, but a lot of the time it was like, because of them I felt like this. I never realized that who's the common thing in all these situations? It's me. So, you know, I'm responsible for this pattern that I keep bumping into. I always attracted someone who was kind of emotionally unavailable, where I felt like I couldn't be myself, like I couldn't express my emotions. I didn't feel safe to do that. There were so many fears that I just couldn't go past, which is like completely normal, and a lot of us have these fears. But the problem with me is I went into relationships like right away without thinking about it. Like I met someone, it was just like chemistry, oh my god, this person is amazing, without freaking knowing them at all. I was just like, oh, this is my soulmate. Obviously I don't know them at all, but of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? And then I, down the line, would actually get to know this person and would realize, wow, this person isn't actually someone I could be really vulnerable with and like grow with and heal with and like express myself emotionally. I always felt kind of dismissed or criticized, or I just didn't feel safe in my relationships emotionally. Partially it was because of my own conditioning, which I'll talk about, but the other part, a huge part, was I went into relationships and dating completely unconsciously, unaware of all this stuff, and then I chose partners who weren't able to give me what I wanted, which is not their fault, like I chose them. Love to humans equals survival. That's why relationships and love is such a huge thing, and losing it is not great. The reason why that is because when you were a kid, when you were really young, you depended on your parents' love for survival. That's also partially the reason why we're completely blind when we get into relationships a lot of the time. Most of us. Doesn't have to be that way though. No. The second thing is that your relationship with your parents or your primary caregivers is basically subconsciously a blueprint of what you believe love is. Great if you had amazing relationship with your parents and you always felt loved and taken care of and nurtured, and like they accepted you and loved every single part of you. Amazing. Not so great for the rest of us. A lot of, you know, wounds and fears start when we're really young, and so our partners often reflect that. That's why they say relationships are a huge mirror. Your partner or the relationships reflects to you your shadows, your fears. Everything comes up, bubbling up to the surface. Really fun, right? So one little exercise that you can do to really see this, and I really recommend doing this, because the whole point of this video is that all the stuff that's subconscious, that's kind of ruling your love life, we want to bring that up. If all this is subconscious, your love life and dating is most likely going to be a mess, and you're going to be completely unaware as to why. So the exercise is you're going to write down names of your significant partners in romantic relationships. So this can be past relationships, this can be your current relationship, just like anything that's really significant. And then below each name, you're going to write a list of how they made you feel. And I want you to focus on negatives in this exercise. I don't know, maybe you felt alone, abandoned, like you're not good enough, like you're not worthy, whatever it is. You're gonna do that for every single person. Then you're gonna take a different paper and you're gonna write down your parents. So this can be only one list, you don't have to do them separately. And you're gonna write down the same thing. So how they made you feel emotionally in a negative way. And then you're gonna compare the lists. And what usually happens for most of us is that they are very similar. Almost the same. What I did is I underlined the same ones or highlighted them so that I could really see, okay, this is the pattern. This is what feels like love to me in some way, and this is what I'm probably going to attract in the future. It's not about fixing this, it's about just being aware of it so you can look at it and be like, okay, I now know what I'm working with, and now I get to work on this. I think most of us, this was like completely me in the past. I would go into relationships completely blindly. As I said before, I had no idea if this person had the same intentions as me, if they had the same values. I never communicated those things. I never talked about my values, my intentions, my needs, my boundaries, what I'm working on, my patterns in relationships. I never talked about these things because I didn't know what they were. And like, I sort of thought I knew the person based on what they showed me or talked about in the beginning. And yeah, then I would just assume, oh, this person, you know, wants the same thing as me, without ever really talking about it and discussing this. Okay, let's talk about some really common fears. From my experience, there's 3 really common fears in relationships for all of us. Fear of abandonment, which is my thing. Hello. So that basically means that you are afraid of someone leaving you. So you can have this fear because, let's say, one of your parents left when you were younger. This can also be like things like divorce, or one of your parents passing away when you were really young. As a child, that feels like someone left me. And so it can be like that. Or this can also mean that you were emotionally abandoned, that your parents maybe didn't have time to care for you the way you needed, or when you expressed anger or sadness, you were sent into your room or dismissed, or they would make fun of you or something like that. The other one is kind of similar, but it's a fear of not being good enough. So these kind of can work hand in hand. You can have all of these. I have all of them in different areas of my life. And one of the ways that this can come up in your life is that you're constantly attracted to people who don't like you back. So you keep chasing and obsessing over these people, and they don't really like you, or at least give you what you need. And so with you chasing them and obsessing about it, you're trying to prove to yourself that you are good enough. And so if I finally get this person, that must mean that I'm loved. So if you're someone who's in a situation like this or something similar, I would ask myself two things. What am I trying to prove to myself by getting this person's love? And the second one is, if this person loved me back, what need would be met? So this can be like need for safety, need for love. And the last really common fear is I'm too much. So I'm too emotional, I'm too whatever it is. One of the ways this can show up is you having a lot of walls and not really letting people in. They can't really ever see your emotions fully. You're just more distant and reserved. Again, that's just one of the ways it can show up. So I'm gonna let you guys in on my own pattern with this whole abandonment fear that before completely subconsciously ruled my dating life. I was not aware of this at all. I was not doing this on purpose or consciously. I apologize to all of my exes. But we all have this stuff. Like, that's the thing. No one is perfect. We all have these certain types of different fears and traumas and wounds and all this stuff. No one is perfect. But the best that you can do, again, is become aware of it, make the subconscious conscious so you can show up consciously. So the first way this abandonment fear kind of showed up is as a doormat pattern. So basically, when I was a child growing up, most of my, well, all of my childhood, I always kind of felt isolated. I felt alone. I didn't feel, I felt abandoned, like especially emotionally. I didn't really have anyone who lived with me who would care for me emotionally, ask me how I am, care for me when I would cry. Like, that was just never a part of my life. I didn't even know people did that. Like, when I got into therapy and she was like explaining these things to me, I was just like, what? People care for these things? Who would have thought? And so that was just like never ever something that I got. But obviously as a human, that is something you deeply crave. So this is like a deep need that for me was never met. But the other little side of that coin in my experience as, you know, a child growing up is that I would only get appreciation and acceptance when I would take care of one of the people in my family emotionally. So that is when I was good. That was when I got the approval and love that I really needed. And so now in relationships, I repeat this exact pattern unconsciously. Now it's conscious, so I'm gonna choose differently. So first of all, I choose partners who cannot see me fully emotionally. I choose partners who get triggered by me being emotional, even if it has nothing to do with them. That's always been like the type of person I go to or go for. And then on the other hand, when they are really upset or they feel any type of negative emotion, I'm like the therapist. That is how I got loved, so my subconscious mind still thinks that that's the only way. And so I would become a doormat. I would give freaking everything. Let me be your therapist. You don't have to pay me. I'll do it all. The other way this kind of pattern played out is I would get really emotional, but then I wouldn't communicate it or show it because that was so scary to me. Like, as a child, anytime I would do that, just abandoned. We don't want that. You're terrible. Get away from us. And so obviously, why would I want to do that with a partner? I don't want to experience that again. And so what I would do is I would retreat, I would get really moody, and I would get passive aggressive. This was not conscious, obviously. And then I would be a pain in the freaking ass when I could just come up to them and be like, yo, this is what happened. I feel really upset because of this, and this. But again, I didn't feel comfortable or safe doing that. One of the reasons why is because of this pattern. The other reason is because of the partners that I chose. So basically, now that I'm dating, or when I decide to start dating again, first thing that I will do differently now that all of this has become conscious, I first of all will take my time and really get to know someone, because now I understand that chemistry and attraction does not equal a perfect partner and your soulmate. It does not mean that at all. It just means like, okay, I'm attracted to this person because they resemble something from my past, emotionally, energetically. That's, you know, chemistry is not really conscious. It's not a conscious thing. You don't choose who you're naturally drawn to. And so I know that, and you know, maybe they would be an amazing partner for me, but I don't know that based on, whoa, I really like this person, and I'm so drawn to them. It's not the same thing. Chemistry does not equal compatibility at all. A lot of the times you can have one without the other. Either way around, not a good idea. So yeah, now I'm like choosing to go into it really slowly to really get to know someone. This can be like waiting for the physical stuff a little bit before jumping into all of that, just so you can really stay centered and grounded and consciously continue choosing, and not just throw yourself into a relationship with someone who you don't really actually know. Speaking to my past self here. Also, like, staying in your own energy can mean like you're not gonna put your whole life to the side to be with them all the time. Like, I used to do that. My whole life became this person, and that like it was just such a, like, I didn't feel grounded at all. I felt like I was losing myself. And so going into it slowly, step by step, can really, really help with that. The other thing that I very much so plan to do, and I'm already practicing, is clearly communicating your values, your boundaries, your intentions, what type of relationship you want. Do you want to talk about these things? Do you want a partner who you can heal with and grow with? You know, what's important to you? And this is so important that you get clear about all this stuff, especially if you're single or dating. Oh my god, life changer. Get clear about your needs, your values, your intentions, your boundaries, what type of a person you would like emotionally. How would you like to feel? How would you like them to show up for you? And then also, really importantly, how do you want to show up for them? What do you want to bring to the relationship? How do you love? How do you care for someone? That's also really important. And the other thing, which is this whole video, is getting clear about your patterns. So what is that a number one pattern in your life? For me, you guys know, I explained my own. And so now when I slowly get to know someone, at some point when it starts to get more serious, I want to sit down with this person. You can write them a letter, you can talk it out, whatever you want, and clearly communicate these things. Like, this is my pattern, I'm working on it. Like, this is obviously not your responsibility, but I would really appreciate it if you could help me in this way, or in this way, or tell me this, or when I'm feeling this way, could you please do this? And you know, this is not your responsibility. This is totally like my own stuff, but I would like to create a relationship that's, you know, a safe place for us to express our wounds and traumas and all this stuff, and we can help each other through that. Like, that's just obviously my thing. Not everyone's going to be into that, but that is something that I want and really need in a relationship. And I do not want to be in a relationship unless my partner can participate in this type of a relationship and give me that, and I can give them the same. And yeah, I want to express my intentions. This is what I want to create. This is how I see this relationship progressing. And you know, if you do not want everything that I just laid out for you, that's okay. We can, you know, reestablish this relationship. We can be friends, or we can choose to no longer see each other. When you've been in a relationship that does not feel safe emotionally or even physically, where you can't really be yourself, and when you feel alone, oh, that's like the worst feeling, when you're with someone, especially in a romantic partnership, and you feel alone. That's like even thinking about it hurts my soul. Like, that is one of the worst feelings in the world, for me at least. And so I would much rather be single and give myself all these things, because that's also an important part when you discover all these wounds and fears. It's so important to ask yourself, how can I help myself through that? What can I give myself? Before you go to your partner, that's something that you need to figure out. The only way to be truly loved is to be authentic. And that is so true. If you lay out all these things, like, these are my patterns, this is what I'm working on, these are my intentions, you kind of push yourself to really show up fully, authentically, and tell them, like, this is what I want. And then you can really create like that safe place, because you know each other's intentions, you know what you're getting yourself into, and also they can love your true self because they know these things. Like, it's really scary to do that, like, I know, but it is life-changing, I think. And again, conscious relationships, conscious dating is not about fixing all these problems before you get into a relationship. It's just about letting them bubble up to the surface so you can see them and deal with them together with your partner, and of course on your own as well. Okay, this video is probably so long, but this is just like such a huge topic. I have so many other things I could talk about, and you guys asked me a bunch of questions, so I think my next video is going to be maybe a Q&A about all this stuff. I don't know, but let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I will definitely make more videos about this topic. Check out my Instagram if you want to have more of these conversations with me. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.